Well, ladies and gentlemen, so welcome to our foundational class of Navamsha chart. And the reason why I'm first of all making this video is because once I start my Navamsha series, right, the planets through signs and planets through houses, I'm always going to refer back to this particular video before you start watching those videos. Because then the questions, I know exactly the questions that you will have. And I don't want to keep redundantly saying the same things to you in the comment section or, on social media or my emails. I'm just going to just watch this. This should be able to tell you a whole lot. And this is like the first time I'm actually seriously diving into Navamsha. I've made so many videos on Navamsha. Today, I want to reveal a comprehensive way of understanding Navamsha. What is Navamsha? When it's used? Why it's used? What are some of the hidden techniques of Navamsha? And I'm pretty sure there's many, many more, which I'll keep discovering as I go, as I progress in my, spiritual astrological journey. And I'll keep revealing them to you as I go. So without further ado, let's start the presentation. See, I actually made a presentation for this Navamsha. So let me go to my share screen. So foundation of Navamsha. Thanks to the following teachers and gurus who taught me the knowledge of Navamsha, either by their books or digital courses and in-person interaction. Without them, my knowledge of Navamsha would be absolutely nil. I should have wrote absolutely. So first is actually my uncle Subhash. I'm not going to say his middle or last name because then, he needs to be private. He's not feeling well. He's been sick. So, but without him, he's the one who introduced me to Navamsha. He told me things about Navamsha. And since that point, I was all about Navamsha. I'm a Navamsha. What is Navamsha? Just like always wanting to talk about Navamsha with him. That's where my passion for Navamsha started, more than any other chart. Like how your mother gives you your very first meal, whether it's dal, whether it's chicken, whether it's this, somehow subconsciously you're always going after that particular thing. Like I remember paneer was one of the very first dish I could remember that my mother gave as a solid food. Same thing with my uncle, him talking about Navamsha as that main juice of Vedic astrology became my thing. Then, obviously, books of K.R. Rao, magazines of K.R. Rao, lectures of K.R. Rao, one of the biggest astrologers in India, and then A.V. Sundaram, one of the brilliant astrologers who have not only had the pleasure of learning from his books, but through him personally, through Facebook interaction, through private messages, I learned a whole lot. Sanjay Rath, who actually came on my channel, brilliant astrologer who takes you to deep down in the rabbit hole. He's the one who talked about Navamsha, especially that I'll discuss one of his techniques of Scorpio Aquarius, who talked about the bullet effect of Navamsha, learning through his books in person and digitally with him. Mark Boney, my Jaimani guru, who showed me about Navamsha in Jaimani, techniques in Navamsha, which were like, wow. Then Dr. Pi and Pi team, without, oh my goodness, they just like converted Navamsha. It's like Navamsha was this plain thing. And then they put these Diwali lights on Navamsha and jewelry, shining jewelry on Navamsha. I'm like, oh my God, that's beautiful. Like Navamsha was great, but then Dr. Arjun Pai and the Pi team made it beautiful. Then Sunil Janipavar, who came on my channel, actually talked about one very important regarding marriage and Navamsha. So her technique will be discussed later on. And VP Goyal, who has been a great inspiration in terms of, understanding divisional charts through his books. So he has been a great source for me to understand, some great deeper knowledge of Navamsha or any other divisional chart. So these are the folks, and many other actually. I have not mentioned their names either, but these are mainly the folks that influence, and including many other. Okay, so knowing this, let's get started with our foundational Navamsha class. Then we're going to talk about what we're going to discuss in this class. What Navamsha is really. Okay, see, my dyslexia just works mysteriously. What Navamsha is really. What really is Navamsha? Let's just say that. See, I write it in reverse sometimes. If I read emails for too long or read books for too long, I start seeing things in reverse. So it's my own thing. Navamsha without marriage. Many of you want to know, hey, I'm not married. How does Navamsha works with my life? We'll discuss that. D1 to D9, aka birth to Navamsha transfer. So D1 chart is known as your normal birth chart. D9 is the Navamsha. So we're going to discuss how we can see things from birth to Navamsha. Understanding the signs. More than even the houses, the sign also represents something. What the planet represent. Like a planet will represent something in the birth chart, something in the Navamsha, something in Saptamsha, something in Dasamsha. So we're going to concentrate on Navamsha. Then I'm going to show you this activation technique in Navamsha, especially just using Venus. Then the missing link with Navamsha. This is something that I was talking about with Sunili Jani Pawar. I'm sure she's watching this. She'll be like, I wonder what that is. I think you know. Now we're gonna go to this part. This is the disclaimer. Negative and psychologically damaging information can be shared in this video. Please only watch if you can handle negative information. And I try my best not to go to the ugly side of Navamsha. And I really do try my best. And as you know, I will never tell the ugly. You know, so, but there are things that, you know, I'm pretty sure 95% of you will watch it and you will then go back to your Navamsha and start looking in things and you're going to run panic. And please note, don't come to me asking about marriage and spouse and all that. I don't do marriage consultation. At least until I'm a certain age, I will not do marriage consultation. So don't even like ask me anything about that. I will not answer. I will not answer anything with Navamsha. The only thing that I do with Navamsha is my Navamsha Nakshatra reading. And especially with using Navamsha Nakshatra reading, it's so beautiful that I really don't even have to discuss the ugly of Navamsha. If I just did Navamsha reading using just the sign and the planets and the relationship that they're creating, yes, negative information will come out. Ugly information can come out. But with Navamsha Nakshatra, it's just like whatever stroke that I want to put on the painting, that's how it goes. So it's beautiful. Then you also have to understand that I only follow Lahiri Ayanamsha sidereal side only. If you have not learned from this method, then please stick to what you have learned. Otherwise, you can get confused. So if you, let's say, learned Western Ayanamsha or the tropical Ayanamsha in Vedic astrology, and you have learned certain things about that, and then I'm discussing these things, it's going to confuse the hell out of you. So if you are doing good, if you just do very well in giving your readings using tropical, you know, Ayanamsha, just stick to that. No need to, remember, astrology is so mysterious, occult sign is so mysterious that it all somehow leads to the one prediction. A tarot card reader will tell you the same thing if they're good at it. Western astrologer can tell you the same thing if they're good at it. Sidereal astrologer can tell you the same thing if they're good at it. Because let's say, for example, you are to die when you're 85, right? It's not like a tarot will tell you 72. If it's really the good tarot, serious tarot reader, they will not tell you 72. Western astrology, if somebody who's an absolute expert, good at it, they will not tell you 65. And a Vedic astrologer will not tell you 93. If you're supposed to go at 85, all the mystical energy of this world will point to that one thing. So don't worry about it if you're following sidereal or Western or whatnot. Okay, so just know that. Then if you want to know your sidereal, Lahiri, and Navamsha alignment, please go to my website, astrologykrs.com, under shop section, option 5 and beyond, so 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way to 19, whatever I have. will show your Navamsha Lahiri side. Okay. So, and then I have not implemented Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto either, but may in future. So those of you who are probably even on the Western Vedic astrology and Navamsha side use Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and use that, which is brilliant. I don't right now, but I'm starting to see it. Because the thing is, with me, since I really don't try making negative predictions about people, I don't even implement them because they can actually really show some negative things in the Navamsha. And so I don't even want to learn them for that reason. See, the thing is with me as an astrologer, there's only a certain level that I want to be at. I don't want to go beyond it. I don't want to know everything. I don't want to know all the secret techniques. I don't want to know about this or that. I'm happy where I'm at. I'm content with where I'm at. And that's where I like to stay. At a certain age, after a certain age, I will go beyond. Right now, I'm just content. I don't want to know. So let's talk about what is Navamsha. Okay. So Navamsha is the path set out for the soul to walk on with or without its consent. It is the quality of the karma rewarded to the soul based on its past actions. So Navamsha shows us the storage of your hidden karmas, like something that you are to walk on. This is not free will, like, oh, let me, instead of my blue car, let me choose the red car. That's the free will. But God said that, or the universe, your own actions from previous lives said you can only have a Toyota. You cannot have a Bentley or Mercedes or Ferrari. You will only have a Toyota, up to a Toyota, that's it. Now, your free will can choose if you want the red color or blue color. That's it. So it is the path that the soul has to walk on with or without its consent. So the universe says, look, this is it. You have to walk this path. It doesn't matter if you like it or not. You're the one who killed that person 5 lifetimes ago. Why did you do that? Why did you rape that person 10 lifetimes ago? It's your fault. It's not mine. I'm not here judging 20 billion people on one planet. You're the one who's your own God. So now you just have to walk this path. You have to suffer. That's one part of Navamsha. The other part is Navamsha is the path that shows if the soul will receive a companion towards the fulfillment of its goal. This is where marriage comes into play. Will the soul find a companion to take the soul to its destination, to its ashram? So let's say if you are a criminal, you're running a drug ring, and you have to go to jail, and your spouse, will live a very good life. Now, what happens is, remember what the first thing says: with or without your consent, you're gonna get a spouse in your life who will kind of maybe encourage you to go into this business of doing drug dealing and this and that and murders and this and that. And because of their encouragement, because of their actions with you, it will lead you to a lifetime in jail. And that's what this shows. So your companion doesn't mean that they're going to lead you to a beautiful place. The companion is only coming in to help you fulfill your karmas, to help you fulfill your actions. And obviously, as you know, it's not like only the good people get married. The bad people get married, the ugly people get married. Like if you, I think, look at BTK killer, or who was it? Normal family man. Oh yeah, Ted Plinsky, Iceman, family guy. Had kids, beautiful wife, yet was a hitman, killed like 300-400 people. And the only thing that the spouse will do is help him fulfill his karmas, because then the spouse charts will start affecting the chart of that native. So whether you're a saint, astrologer, politician, entertainer, scientist, criminal, we all have a companion who will help us fulfill our goal. It will show the quality of the companion and what the companion brings in the bondage. So Navamsha reveals who your spouse is. who your lifelong partner is, okay? And it will show what they are going to activate in your life. So if, let's say, you are an IT professional who's suddenly going to, let's say, run some sort of a scam, and then after that go to jail, well, the Navamsha will then reveal through the spouse that they're coming in to help you just activate these things. Because perhaps, you scammed other people in life, so now you're coming back to face the consequences of that by performing certain actions. The mysterious of this universe, you can say. Then it shows the hidden dignity and untapped potential of the soul. So let's say, it shows the hidden dignity, like you're a good guy, you're coming out as a great person, you know great person online, great person on television. And then we get to find out, my goodness, we thought he made brilliant movies and did all these worked on big pictures, but my God, he was molesting all the actresses, sexually harassing all the actresses, raping actresses, like the Harvey Weinstein case, okay, or the Kevin Spacey thing. So it shows the hidden dignity of the soul. Who are you when the doors are closed and you're in your home? What is happening? And it is also the untapped potential of the soul. The soul doesn't realize that it has all this storage of karma stored in for it to go from rack to riches. Like, just last week, a 20-year-old kid won $400 million lottery. And so the Navamsha will show that untapped potential, that untapped resources that you never thought you had, but they're waiting for you in the Navamsha. Navamsha shows the habit that soul acquires over time. So, for example, throughout my own life, I loved certain things. Okay, I loved certain things, but especially in my later age, in my 30s, especially after marriage, I suddenly became a cook. Like, I love cooking. I love cooking. I love culinary arts. I became passionate about food. I'm a foodie. If there's a new restaurant opening, I want to run. I'm going to tell my wife, let's go. Let's go. Today we're going to here. Today we're going to there. I became a foodie. I never had any interest in cooking. So Navamsha shows the habit that soul acquires over time. So my habit of cooking came over time. It developed over time. And you can also say it shows the hidden, untapped potential of my Navamsha. That, hey, this person should be doing these cooking. He should be loving food. So these things are seen. But they're also seen from the birth chart too. But Navamsha reveals what you become over time, what the soul really transforms into over time. It shows the hidden agenda of the planets based on the soul's karma, which comes under. Oh, sorry, comes under the dignity of the planets. This is where the exaltation, debilitation, own sign, Mool Trikon sign comes into play. Okay. So like Aries is the exaltation of the sun. Aries sign is the Mool Trikon of Mars. Aries is the debilitation sign of Saturn. If you look at Taurus, Taurus is the exaltation of the moon. And it's also the Mool Trikon of the moon. And it is also the own sign of Venus. So between 3 and 19 degrees of Taurus, moon considers its own Mool Trikon sign. Venus, throughout the sign of Taurus, it's its vacation home. Libra for Venus is Mool Trikon. That's where Venus is always working. Taurus becomes that vacation home. So these dignities of planets are really judged in Navamsha. So This is what Navamsha is. Okay. And the other thing that I said, like the thing about over time, especially after 36, Navamsha really becomes alive. Why 36? Think about it. Why do I keep repeating this 36th year? Saturn matures at the age of 36. Saturn is the karma that you must perform, that you must do, and the karmas that you must pay back. So because Saturn becomes mature at 36, and all the planets, if you read about astrotheology, especially from Santos Bonacci, who's been on my channel, every planet is under the rings of Saturn. Ring of Saturn is the boundary. So when Saturn becomes mature, everything that within the boundary of Saturn becomes mature. So all the planets are becoming mature. This is why Navamsha then shows the hidden maturity of the planets, the hidden mature potential of the planets. So that's the Navamsha as well. Now we're going to go to Navamsha without marriage. Navamsha without marriage. So if the soul is to walk the path alone, it shows how the soul will perceive the path, what the soul ultimately develops into. So pretty much same thing. When you are not married, let's say you don't have a yoga for marriage, you're going to be single. So it shows that the path that the soul picks later in life. Okay, I want to change my path and this is my path. Or like your birth path and Navamsha path merges, like after 36. And it shows what you ultimately develop into, who you become. So, when people say after 36, my goodness, you just became mature. After 42, you became mature. Actually, 42 is the age of actually being an adult. Before 42, we're all just young people running around. This is why, midlife crisis occurs at 42. You suddenly realize you're old. You suddenly realize you're mature now. And now you still want to keep at, being young, buying yourself a nice car, getting yourself some new gadgets and toys. So that's one thing. Navamsha will then reveal the curse of past life that shows the native destroyed their own spouse or someone else's spouse to be gifted the path they are walking on. Shiva must walk without Parvati, or Parvati must walk without Shiva. What does this mean? And there's another thing to it. So usually when a person does not get married, cannot find partner, and they're like, oh my God, I'm such a good person. I do my prayers, I'm praying to God, I am, so well educated, I'm beautiful, yet I cannot get married. It's nothing to do with this life as much. It is what you did in your perhaps 15 lifetimes ago, 10 lifetimes ago, 1 lifetime ago, 2 lifetimes ago. You perhaps destroyed somebody's family by eloping with the spouse of somebody else. You perhaps killed somebody's spouse in front of them, left them useless. Anything. So now what happens, you incur your own, you become your own judge and jury. You committed a crime. You're like, okay, I committed this crime. I'll just have to pay it back at some point. Whether it's that own lifetime or 10 lifetimes from there, you have to deal with the fact that you destroyed this person's home. Now you have to just suffer being alone. And especially the people who always longed for marriage, yet they can't get it. Those are the people who really have done something from the past to deal with this. But then there's a second side to this. Okay. The soul will always feel unfulfilled regardless of its status, wealth, and merit when there is no companionship, until the soul advances to the higher plane of existence to seek companionship of God. Okay? So when you have done something from the past and you're not able to get married, that's where the soul will always feel unfulfilled. So if you're single and you're just longing for marriage, that's what happens. Yet you have wealth, Navamsha shows wealth and status and money. I mean, look at some of Indian film stars and American film stars who are just still single. So it doesn't mean that the good karma that is stored in Navamsha is not going to be given to you. It's going to be given to you. See, what happens is different karmas from different lifetimes come together. So a person may not have children, yet they will have tremendous amount of wealth. Person may not have any wealth, yet they give birth to beautiful daughters and sons, and they become successful. So all the accumulation comes as a one package. Okay. And this is where, until your soul advances to the higher plane of existence to see companionship of God, till then you will always feel fulfilled. So even though you did something wrong in your past life, to not be getting a companionship in this life, once you start seeking God and say, I'm going to be married to God, I'm married to Krishna, I'm married to this universe, the cosmos, whatever you believe in, that's when you will fulfill that unfulfillment. Okay. Then the other thing is, the soul may not have any desire for companionship and unionship, which shows the soul is ready to move forward, meaning you don't have any desire. You're like Yogananda. You don't have any desire. You look at Yogananda Navamsha, clearly will show there's no desire for unionship or marriage. Because now it shows that you have dealt with all the marriage stuff. You have completed your karma with marriage and children and everything. Now you're ready to go to the advanced class, the advanced, going from junior to senior year of your college, or freshman to sophomore year, sophomore to junior year, whichever one. I don't know how it works. It shows that. So sometimes a person just doesn't even care for marriage. I get so many people like, look, I don't care for marriage or anything. I just want a relationship and just to have some romance, and that's it. That's it. So I'm pretty sure, you guys were thinking like, well, I don't care for marriage. What is he talking about? Well, this is why this is where it is. You're ready to now move forward. But what this means, not having desire for marriage, is that now you must take your soul to advanced path and to go to the higher spiritual knowledge, spiritual realm. You have fulfilled your karmas of unionship. But when that desire is there, like, please tell me when I'm going to get married. I'm 42 now. I want to get married. I want to get married. I want to have children. That unfulfillment is coming because the universe wants you to feel that. You see what you did in that past life? Feel that. Doesn't matter how good or bad you are. It's just something you did and you have to fulfill it. This is why it's so important to be so spiritually awakened to understand astrology, especially Vedic astrology. Now we're going to go to D1 to D9, birth to Navamsha. Okay. So D1 shows the start and the spark of companionship, the start of the journey. D9 shows the forthcoming path. So, and then, okay, so let me also show the other point. No desire of D1 can lead to forced path of D9 with a companion. Such path shows one is to suffer through the companion as they must have suffered through the native in past. Okay, so I'm going to explain all this for later on. D1 to D9 is to confirm something which is happening / will continue to happen. So, some people lead the exact same life from birth all the way till their death. There's not too much change. So D1 to D9 will show that. Then planet placed in the sign of D1 to D9 will show the effect it will have in the marriage by seeing the distance of the sign between D1 and D9, which is known as Ashtama position. This also goes for D9 ascendant. Okay, so let's first explain D1. The birth chart shows the start and spark of companionship, the start of the journey. D9 shows the forthcoming path. So let's say you get into a relationship and you're always able to easily get into a relationship. You attract people easily, women easily, men easily. So we are seeing that through the birth chart. Okay, we're seeing that through your main birth chart. But every time you get into a relationship, it fails within 5 months, 6 months, a year. You've gotten married 3 times, all 3 marriages failed. That is what shows the forthcoming path of D9. So you started your journey in the D1 with a marriage. I need marriage, or let's say I need relationships. Even just simple relationships. They start, but then they always simply end. They do not prolong for a long time like a regular marriage or relationship would. That's what D9 shows. Then no desire of D1 can lead to forced path of D9 with a companion, meaning you have no desire for marriage. You don't want to get married, but your parents force you to marry someone. Like I was seeing this one video on Facebook or something. This South Indian guy had a gun to his head by the wife's family, and they were forcing him to marry her. And he was crying. And he didn't want to marry her, but he was crying. So D1 to D9 can show that even if you do not have a desire for marriage, you could be forced to get married. That is seen through D1, through Navamsha. Then the continuation, like I was telling you, like let's say you are meditating from the age of 20 in your room. By the time you're 78, 80, you're still doing the same thing. There's not much has changed in your life. This is seen through the D9, especially through human planets, which I'll get to. Don't worry about it. Human planets. It's more of a fixed quality in a person's life. So now we're going to go to this D1 to D9 that will show the effect it will have in the marriage by seeing the distance of the sign between D1 and D9. Okay, so let's say, for example, Venus is in the sign of Aries in the birth chart. Okay, Venus goes to Scorpio in Navamsha. That is known as the Ashtama, meaning Venus went to the 8th sign of the birth chart in Navamsha. So Venus will have to face transformation or ending of something. For example, let's say your 7th Lord Saturn is in the sign of Cancer in the birth chart. Okay, you're a Cancer ascendant. Saturn is in the ascendant in the birth chart in the sign of Cancer. That 7th Lord Saturn goes into the sign of Aquarius and Navamsha. Well, Aquarius is 8 places away from Cancer in the birth chart. So shows the same thing. Ashtama meaning like setting. Ashtama Surya meaning like setting sun. It's going to die in that particular situation. Or it will give you sudden transformation in that situation. So transformation. Now, which one it'll give, that will be seen later on. That's more of the advanced thing. Okay. Then, and also this also goes for the ascendant as well. Okay. So you're an Aries ascendant in the birth chart. But your Navamsha ascendant is Scorpio. Scorpio is the 8th sign from your birth ascendant. So this is why that also changes. But specifically with the ascendant, aspect of certain planets and placement of certain planets in Scorpio will null the effect of that Ashtama position. So if you do have this Ashtama position of Aries to Scorpio, so let's say you have Aries ascendant in the birth chart, Scorpio in the Navamsha, it'll show many transformation, changes upon changes. Okay. Now we're going to go understanding the houses. Okay. So what do the house represent? So now this is where that meat of that whole thing comes in about my Navamsha series that I'm going to start in a week or two. Okay. What does the first house represent? Second house, third house of Navamsha only. This is not goes for any other divisional chart. So first house shows desire for marriage. Overall desire of marriage. Is there any desire in the marriage? Is there any desire for marriage? And also shows overall quality of the life that you're going to live after marriage. Not the marriage itself. How are you going to live overall life with Navamsha? That's the scene through the first house. Second house is resources for marriage. What resources do you have? So when you got married and you're the man, can you provide for the marriage? Can you make money and provide? What resources do you, how much money do you have? What is coming in? How are you going to feed your spouse? How are you going to feed each other and the family that you create? So second house represents resources. Third house represents efforts put in the marriage. Are you putting any effort in the marriage? Or do you have to put in the efforts in the marriage? Or is the marriage just effortless? Both of you understand each other. Both of you kind of like communicate with each other and you're just like, good. That is seen. Fourth house is happiness from marriage and accumulated fixed assets through marriage. So how happy are you in marriage? And have you accumulated any fixed assets like vehicles, home, jewelry, gems? So that is the fourth house of Navamsha. Fifth house, how one handles marriage, what one does to sustain the marriage. Fifth house represents children, right? Which can also be confirmed in the birth chart or in the Navamsha. But it really shows because fifth house represents your Purva Punya Bhava. It also shows the intelligence of the native. How intelligent are you to handle some situation in a marriage? That is seen through the fifth house. Like, so let's say your spouse is mad at you. Okay. What intelligence do you have to make that spouse not be mad at you in the next 3-4 hours? What will you do? What can you do? What are some of the ideas you're going to come up with to handle the situations within the marriage? And especially, how is your Purva Punya, meaning your past life deeds are helping you in the marriage, is seen from the fifth house. Sixth house is known as Shashtamansha, conflicts and arguments in marriage, and it also represents mistress. And this could be both for men and women. It's not like only man has a mistress, women can have mistresses. You hear all day long stories about, women having somebody else on the side. But there's something with this term, Sastamansha, which I will discuss later on. Then, house, seventh house is a house. Sorry, it's supposed to be off. House of marriage. Okay. And potential to get married, to understand the partner and companion in your life. So it not only represents the marriage itself, seeing the timing of marriage, but it also shows will you or will you not get married and who your partner is. And especially if you know Navamsha Nakshatra, that's it. You just know it right away. Eighth house is known as Randra Amsa, Randra Bhava. It shows joint assets, transformation, ending of marriage, hidden secrets within the marriage, and affairs, scandals of the marriage. Is there any potential? Is seen from this. Ninth house, the faith within the marriage, development of one's spiritual and religious beliefs after marriage. So let's say you're a very religious person As soon as you get married, within a year or two, you don't care for religion, you don't care for spirituality, gurus, you just want to be all about, oh, it's me, my potential, my willpower, and I'm about everything. I make my own destiny. Most people are running around like that. Why does that happen only after marriage? What happened? Check the ninth house of the Navamsha. 10th house, status of the marriage, fame from marriage, how people see your marriage, the karma, duty, and obligations of the marriage. So when you go out as a couple, what do people think of your marriage? My God, look at that couple. Nice. My God, you guys must have money. Oh man, you look miserable, man. This couple just looks miserable. Oh my God, there's not a right match. That is one part of the 10th house. How much fame can you get through your marriage? How many people know you're married? How many people invite you to their home and to hang out? That's the 10th house. And it also represents the karmas that are going to be activated with marriage. The duties that you must do and face through marriage. Remember when I was talking about the criminal? The criminal performing something and then going to jail. They'll show that the karmas that's suddenly going to be activated through marriage, and you're going to have to perform them. It is what it is. It is the path of the soul with or without its consent. 11th house, fulfillment of desires through marriage. 11th house, as you know, is a house of desires. So fulfillment of desires through marriage. How much desire can you fulfill through marriage? Oh, I want a car and a big house and I want to have this much money. So will the marriage fulfill that for you or not? Hopes and desires of the spouse themselves. Okay? And achievements. So what wishes and desires your spouse has within the marriage? Like he or she tells you, like, look, I want this in our marriage. I want this in our marriage. I want us to do this together and that. Those are seen. And what one gets through marriage, like pretty much gains. Then 12th house is known as Navamsha. Again, a term that I will discuss later. Expenses and losses in the marriage. Foreign travels in the marriage. Sexual activities of the bedroom in marriage. Because 12th house is a house of bed pleasures. So here the bed pleasures really becomes very important. So whenever you want to adjust 12th house, look at the 12th house of Navamsha. And this is where Uppapadha comes in. Uppapadha of Jaimini concept is seen through the 12th house because Rishi Jaimini wanted to show you what are the pleasures you're getting or not getting in the marriage. That's what 12th house is. Now we're going to move to understanding the signs. So the first thing you want to always look at is Libra, Taurus, Cancer, and Sagittarius are must watch. So when you look at Navamsha, you're judging Navamsha, always pay attention to these signs. Why? Because if you judge a chart from Aries ascendant, Taurus represents natural second house of resources, wealth, pleasure, family. Libra is a natural sign of unionship, marriage, relationships. Cancer is a fourth house sign of emotions and feelings of the marriage or feelings in general, and represents resources, nourishment. Sagittarius is the reason why Navamsha exists. Navamsha, ninth division. It represents bhagya, luck, prosperity within the marriage. So you have to always look at these signs. Any planet sitting in these signs will affect also the qualities of that relationship. Like Libra, having a certain planet, regardless if Libra is in the 6th house, 8th house, 1st house, 4th house, doesn't matter. Libra will show how are you interacting in a relationship. What is relationship to you? Which is Libra, simple. How much emotions can you give and not give in a relationship is a Cancer. 4th house is the storage, happiness that you will receive. But Cancer sign will show, or the Lord of that Cancer sign, which is Moon, will show what emotions are you giving in the marriage, or are you giving any? Then there's these three groups of signs known as Devas, humans, and Rakshasa. Okay. So Devas are movable signs, humans are fixed signs, Rakshasa are dual signs. So whenever planets go into movable signs in Navamsha, it is an excellent thing to have, regardless of their friendly sign, enemy sign, even debilitated, exalted. Movable sign will help far better than fixed sign. However, fixed signs are human, meaning human are known for what? Habits. We are creature of habits. So remember when I was telling you, a person being from the age of 20 all the way till they die, they're same. That is seen through the fixed sign. Their qualities are fixed. They have this set thing. So if they're fixed planets in the birth and majority of the fixed planets in the Navamsha, the fixed quality will stay through. Then you have dual signs, which is Rakshasa, meaning chanchalness. In India, in Hindi, they call it chanchalta. Going from one decision to the other, one person to the other, one mood to the other. And especially, okay, again, I'm gonna reveal some negative thing here. So if you don't want to listen to it, just mute it. But dual sign can represent duality in a marriage, meaning two marriages, more than two relationships, more than one relationship. So Rakshasa doesn't mean that evil. Rakshasa simply means the destroyer of something. Sometimes destruction is good. Sometimes destruction is bad. Rakshasa is just the Vedic term that Dr. Pai was using. Remember in his Nakshatra class early on? Rakshasa doesn't mean bad. It's just that it shows the quality of transformation. Change has to happen. So if you're happy, perhaps you may not be happy with that transformation, but transformation is just coming. Then the mystery of Scorpio and Aquarius sign, especially when having Jupiter, Venus, and seventh lord placed in such signs. And I put Sanjay Rath because this is something I learned from Sanjay Rath ji. Remember when he was talking about in my video on YouTube about the bullet going through the Sastyamsha and penetrating through Navamsha. So you only get hit twice instead of 12 times. Scorpio and Aquarius are karmic signs. They represent heavy karma. Because Scorpio is co-ruled by Ketu, Aquarius is co-ruled by Rahu. And these are the two planets that represent surprise element. Surprises. When it comes to Navamsha, Rahu, Ketu represents two things, foreign element and surprises. So when planets go into these signs in Navamsha, there is going to be some heavy karma paid to that thing. So like, for example, somebody who's a multimillionaire, has a family, has a long-lasting marriage, yet their money, they always must spend money on their spouse. Majority of them, let's say maybe a spouse is dealing with something where their money is going to help them. Let's say spouse, when they got married, they found out that the spouse had $4 million debt. And now they're stuck with that debt because they're married. Because the spouse is so good, such a good person, they're like, look, okay, fine, I love you. What I'll do is whatever I'm making, I'll give 50% of it towards your debt. We'll do that together. So regardless, the karma is being paid back, because perhaps you took money from your spouse in some life and never gave it back. Now you must pay their debt off with that money. That's what this mystery of this, and there are a lot of other mysteries too with this. Now, what planet represents? So Venus, the most important, shows you and the spouse, including pleasure. So as many people think that Venus is spouse, right? Venus is spouse. No. Wrong. In Navamsha chart, so in the birth chart, Sun is known as the Atma Karka of the birth chart, means soul significator of you, which is Sun. Navamsha is marriage. Venus becomes the Atma Karka of Navamsha. So not only it represents the spouse, marriage, but it represents the development of your soul. So if you want to see transformation of your soul, look for Venus Nakshatra, Venus sign, Venus house placement in Navamsha. So not only it represents you, but the spouse. And this is why they say marriage makes a person one. You become one in the marriage. You both kind of have similar behaviors in the marriage. When you don't, that's when the conflict comes in. So your Venus Nakshatra, understanding the Nakshatra, especially where the house placement is and how the Venus is placed, it represents you, who you develop into. Then Jupiter is husband for a woman, prosperity and happiness for marriage in general. So do you look for Jupiter of will there be prosperity? Will there be happiness in the marriage? Saturn will show when the dullness, where the dullness and responsibility lies. That will be activated from day one of marriage. So wherever Saturn is placed, responsibilities, that's where you will find the dullness, like, oh man, okay, I gotta do this now. Oh man, the responsibilities of the children. Oh man, I've got to deal with the debts now. Saturn will show that. Mars represents the passion and fighting for marriage. How much are you willing to fight for your marriage? How much passion do you have towards your marriage? Not just sexual passion. How passionate are you about the marriage that you're in? And the energy that you sustain through marriage, the activity, things wanting to do some activity in the marriage is Mars. Sun, the development of ego in the marriage. Do you become egotistical in the marriage? Do you become a subservient in marriage? Do you dominate the other person in a marriage? Or who dominates who? You know, in a marriage, either the wife is dominating, you're listening to the wife, you're afraid of the wife going home, or the wife is afraid of you because she knows you're the authority. That is Sun, the development of the ego in the marriage and pretty much who dominates with their ego. Mercury is communication within the marriage. I mean, how good is your communication, right? Moon, how the mind is affected through marriage. Are you stressed? Are you happy? Are you indifferent? Are you okay? You know, where does the mind always go towards? What does the mind always think about through marriage is the moon. Now, all of this can also be seen if you're not married. So Mercury simply represents how your communication develops through time. Saturn will represent the development of your karmas, your duties within your own life without having a companion. So look for this as a joint and single thing. Rahu Ketu, like I said, surprise element of the marriage, including foreign elements. So if you're going to have a foreign spouse, look for the conjunction of Rahu Ketu, either with Venus, Jupiter, 7th Lord, or the 7th Lord of the birth chart. That will show a foreign spouse. Now we're going to go to activation technique. For each individual, the planet will activate the karma in Navamsha at a different age. The magic numbers 4, 7, and 10 of Venus and Jupiter. So what is this? And this is something where you should know your Navamsha, Nakshatras, and Navamsha. And I should actually say, I forgot to put 1, 4, 7, 10, especially 1, 4. And you know what I should do here? I should put the red mark here. When you get married, whatever the karmas that are going to become active in the marriage will either become active in the 1st, 4th, 7th, or 10th year of the marriage. And 4th house becomes the most important because 4th from any house is the storage of the karma. So from the ascendant, the fourth house represents the storage, right? Home, emotions, and where you store things. And it is seventh from the 10th house of karma. So 10th house or fourth house is storing the karma. And first house is storing the karma, seventh storing the karma, 10th. So either a person faces karma in the marriage in the very first year. If you are supposed to deal with something, some issue, or even a good thing, it's not just bad only, it's good or bad. You will deal with that either in the first, fourth, seventh, or 10th year. But specifically, look for what exactly is going to be given to you through the karma. For men, it's Venus. Look forth from Venus. Jupiter for women. Look forth from Jupiter. That's the storage of the karma that you will face through your husband or through your wife. If you're gay or let's say lesbian, I want to say something, but I don't want to be wrong because I have not researched on it, honestly. I've not dealt with it. So I know for Venus pretty much is a karaka of love, but for women it becomes Venus. For a gay person it becomes Mars. So maybe you want to check that, but I have not done any research on it. So apologize to my LGBT community. So that's the other thing. Then there's this other thing where fourth from Venus and fourth from Jupiter, whatever age is represented by fourth from Venus or fourth from Jupiter, it will also reveal the karma at that time. So let's say, for example, Venus is in the ascendant of your Navamsha. You got married at 25th year. That means at 28, the activation of Venus's karma or karma of the marriage will become active for a man. Let's say you got married at the age of 33. Okay. Your Jupiter is in the 7th house in Navamsha. 34th year will be the year where the female native will see the activation of the karma of marriage. And this will keep becoming active all throughout life, regardless of, depends upon how long the marriage is, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 40 years, 50 years. So they will become active at that particular time. That's the, and this is something a bit complicated, requires the knowledge of Padam Chakra. So this is why I only wanted to just discuss this simple thing of 1, 4, 7, 10. The first year of marriage, fourth year of marriage. Remember they say the 7-year itch and 10th year anniversary. That's really the main thing. First year is always the exciting year. You're married, you're discovering each other. Fourth year is where like, okay, so this is what my married life is. This is what is now happening in my life. If those who are married, you will understand this part that I'm saying. Then we're gonna go to the missing link of marriage. This is where the Sunili Jani Power technique, the video that she made with me comes into play. What is that? Navamsa chart, hidden character of a woman and spouse in general. Number 1. So if you're going to decide about marriage timing, how the marriage is, Navamsa D30 chart becomes a very, very important. So D30 chart shows, first of all, how well the marriage will be, especially in a female's chart. This is especially when, let's say, a man is trying to judge their Navamsha. Okay, they should definitely check the Navamsa. Actually, both for men and women. It's not just for either or. Navamsa will show all how much hurdles you have in marriage. Navamsa will also show, will there be, okay, and this is where we come to the last point of Navamsha. Denial of marriage is also seen from D9 and D30. So whenever you're seeing if somebody's going to be denied marriage in their life, you have to see not only the Navamsha, but D30 chart. If you don't check D30 chart and you say, oh, we're never going to get married, you're going to miss the most important thing. And you have to look for malefic influences in D30 chart in three particular houses. I don't want to say those houses because I know what you're going to do. You're going to go to your D30 chart and see if there's a denial. I will only discuss that maybe in some private lesson or something. So D30 chart, and remember when Sunidhi Jani Pavar came and talked about sun and malefic planets influencing certain houses, that really shows some heavy karma of marriage. So you can go back to watching that video. That really shows that. So Trim Samsa, when you're judging married life, after you have looked at Navamsha, go to the D30 chart, the divisional chart, and study the planets there. You know, obviously the first and seventh axis becomes the most important. Okay. Now, this is Navamsha in a nutshell. There's a lot more to Navamsha, okay, which I could have talked about more and more, but they will come slowly as I'm going through planets through signs, planets through houses, and Navamsha. You will see how I'm going to reveal some of these things to you. And once you know this, you can just look for Navamsha, just study a chart for 5 minutes. You will be able to accurately say something about their marriage. I'm telling you this. Okay. So hopefully this has been a knowledgeable session about Navamsha. Like I said, I've never done it this thoroughly. I've always spoken about, you know, intuitively and philosophically, but this is more technical way of looking at Navamsha. So when I talk about Sun in the 4th house, Sun in the 11th house, Saturn in the 8th house, Saturn in the 5th house, you will start to then see more and more come out. Okay. So anyway, guys, if you're new to my channel, subscribe below so you don't miss those Navamsha videos. And if you want to know your Navamsha, all the other astrological details, my reports, consultation, my Navamsha reading of nakshatras, check out the links here or here somewhere. Otherwise, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.